Today's agenda primarily is going to focus on hand in glove partnership with L&D. How do we achieve the business goals? How do we, our survival totally is dependent upon how well are we aligned and synced up with the business. How do we align learning strategy to business strategy? Couple of times we keep talking about strategy. We say that we are aligned, we are aligned, we are aligned. What do you mean by alignment? Are we really understanding the meaning of alignment over here? Is something which we will, kind of throttle some ideas over here, try to see what you have as perspectives, and I will share some of my experiences. How do we become strategic and consultative partners? How do we actually explore priceless and meaningful possibilities in capability development space? Okay. And when I say this, I am actually, looking at how the alignment piece that I'm going to talk about is very, very, very critical when it comes to L&D and business partnership. For many years in the past, in the yesteryears, we have been, you know, kind of working on a fact that somebody will come and give us those kind of opportunities. Somebody will come and tell us what is to be done in the learning space, and then we operate. But that is a passerby today. We have transformed, we have revolutionized ourselves as a function totally. And I'm 100% sure that each one of you who are there on today's session would agree to the fact that what we were doing as LND as a function in the past and what we are doing today and how we are evolving as we move forward because of this pandemic, because of a lot of things that has been changing, because of the digital kind of task force that we are expecting, the business is expecting, life has totally changed. And it has changed for good. It gives us a lot of opportunity to think through of being really strategic partners. And that is something which I would like to share. How do we actually align ourselves to the business needs? Business needs is expecting us, the business is expecting a couple of things from us. Some of them are understanding the pulse of the business. Where are they focusing on? What kind of portfolio do they want to hold? This is very seasonal. Just as the seasons keep changing, just as the climates keep changing, similarly the requirement for the learning always will keep changing because business is agile. The kind of competencies that we need in order to stay ahead of the curve definitely changes. For some organizations it changes almost every quarter. For some organization it changes maybe half yearly, and many organizations maybe they have some long term 3 years kind of plans or 5 years kind of plans. But definitely the world is moving at much 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 faster rate. Therefore, understanding the pulse of the business, what is a focus, what was a focus in 2019, what was a focus in 2020, what is the situation currently due to the pandemic stuff, and what is that business wants to focus in 2021. If you actually put your thoughts and try to marry all these kind of observations, you will be in much better position to understand the pulse of the business. The second and the most important thing is the business is expecting us to partner strategically. When I'm talking strategically, we stop thinking only about offerings and programs. We start thinking about what is the capability required, what is the gap that exists in the organization today, how will we bridge those gaps very quickly, proactively, much faster, so the business has a ready pool of population which they can be leveraged, which the business can leverage. So partnering strategically with business and reshaping the learning culture, building a competent landscape, all are integrated if you look at it. If you don't understand that, then we can't be just talking about this is a bouquet of programs that I'm offering, take it or leave it. Can we do that? Definitely not. We will be out of our jobs very soon if we start thinking in that direction. But vis-a-vis, if you go back and talk to your business stakeholders, have that kind of a camaraderie, have that kind of a rapport, talk to different set of people, have an exposure externally, internally, and then become a strategic partner. That's the way we have to operate. You have to focus on talent landscape, and that goes back to my point of skill metrics and skill heat maps. No problem. Proactively work on future proofing the talent skills, aligning to the business needs and reskilling events. So there are multiple things that the business is expecting today. They expect us to be thought partners. They expect us, but these are not just jargons that we can use. We definitely have to align ourselves in order to understand that and be there with them at the right time time at the right place with solutioning kind of an attitude. And that's what is the expectation of the business. What do you mean by the hand in glove partnership with business? Okay. You have to understand the business. We at Mastercard, we are a payments and technology. We are a technology organization primarily into the payments domain. But in payments, what all are the things that we do? It's very continuously keep talking to my teams, and I think that is one particular set of things. But it is you have your eyes and ears open, you understand your organization, the ecosystem running around you, the business leaders, what do they talk, what kind of town halls happen, what kind of forums happen, what kind of open houses happen, what is the business talking about. I think there is half the battle won because you start getting those kind of inputs and have a strong business acumen. Elicit the business goal, vision, and demand. Talk to people. It's very important. Don't assume things that, I know that, these are the five things I have to actually propose to the business as a program. That's not the way we can operate. Unless and until you're aligned, and that's where the word alignment comes. Do you understand your business? Have you spoken enough? Have you elicited the needs appropriate? And needs is not about just, rolling out an Excel sheet to the business and saying, please fill this sheet and send it across to me and we will plan the programs. I'm sure most of us have transitioned from that phase. But if you continue to do that, I'm sorry to say that we are not in a great zone to be in, because then there is no alignment, then there is no partnership, then they don't look at you as strategic partners, they only look at us as administrative staff, where you fill in a laundry list of things and then you actually propose a plan. It happens, it doesn't happen, nobody takes a cognizance of that. No, that's not the way we want to. We want to be very, very particular about what we want to express. How do we want to bring value? What is the value proposition that we bring to the table? It's not only about programs, but it is about you have this as a vision, which needs this as a capability. And for this capability, these are the programs that we should be offering. So there is a complete amalgamation of all these three elements, which helps us to build in that kind of a business goal and vision and meet whatever the business needs are. Weave the learning culture into business strategy. Let it not operate in silos. Okay, these are 5 programs that I'm going to run throughout my whole year, and these are the 7 leadership series of programs that I'm going to hold for the year. Last year it did give me a lot of leverage and people actually participated in this program. So this year also I would continue. That's not the way we will operate. I told you our business is very seasonal, and why I say seasonal is because today the season is of some technology, tomorrow it is of emerging technologies. 5G is coming in the world. Day after we are talking about uh, doing different kind of leadership roles. But then somewhere we are talking about leading from the front, whereas somewhere we are talking about how the leaders come take back seat and you know uh, uh, propagate their teams or publicize their teams and give them opportunities. So the world is changing, the time is changing, the kind of offerings are changing, and these offerings completely change which are aligned to the business need. So that is a fundamental truth. So therefore, your learning culture has to be, kind of integrated within the business strategy. They are not two different pillars. The business runs because of its vision, because of the strategy that it holds, the planning that it makes. We will be successful as learning and development team when we actually understand that. Year on year, there will be challenges, there will be changes, and we will have to align ourselves over there, and therefore our offerings change. Solve for a purpose. Today, if you know that in the organization there is a need for a particular technology stewardship, it is important for us to understand what, and then give those kind of offerings. And then it has to range, because different people are in different roles. You can't actually give the same kind of a training offering on the same topic that you have identified to different people holding different portfolios. So solve for a purpose, be a strategic and consultative partner. I can cite an example over here, a very classic example. When I was working in one of my past organizations, we had a great opportunity in the field of advanced analytics. And when we understood that, when the business started talking about it, there was a very detailed and thorough understanding that we had with the business, spoke. probed them and got a lot of stuff. And when we said that, okay, advanced analytics, why? The first question is why? Why is that we are suddenly moving on to that particular topic? Okay, for whom? Who will do this? And then when we elicited that, okay, that there will be different set of people who will be working in this scope. It's a huge mammoth project that we have got, and it will only be successful when there are at least around 2,500 plus associates who are having that advanced analytics capability. And trust me, we had very minimal capacity. Maybe only 10% of that task force was available in the organization. But we had to build that capability. Who will build the capability? Do we actually wait for the business to come and tell that, hey guys, now get started, roll out n number of programs, and then get everybody trained on advanced analytics? Versus you have heard about it. Why don't you go and talk to the right leader, the right people? They may answer, they may not answer. You will have to channelize your energies in such a way that you get the first hand information, develop certain things, go with a proposal. And when you go with a proposal, you have to say that this is what is a requirement. This is how I have tied up with multiple leaders. There is a lot that we had to do. We tied up with one of the best statistical institute in India, and then got those kind of program offerings, and we did it from top to bottom, because the CEO of the organization needed to needed that kind of a knowledge at that point in time at a different level, maybe 50,000 feet view. The next level of CEO needed that at the same level, but it went up to the ground level, wherein the people were supposed to actually sit and code, do a lot of our programming, do a lot of statistical analysis, and understanding this entire portfolio and working hand in glove with the business at that point in time. We were able to churn out the number of people that we wanted in advanced analytics, superbly deliver that kind of a project, which it was a continuous journey for 3 years. And people, there will be attrition, there will be a lot of other kind of challenges. We need to ensure that the show is going on. So you understand the pulse. We never waited for business to come and tell that create certain things. Of course, we were there. We were, knowing about it. There was enough communication coming through, and therefore we took a plunge as learning and development proactively and created that kind of an environment and ecosystem where everything got solved. So solve for a purpose, be a strategic and consultative partner. You might not have 100% information, but definitely there is a lot that you can derive, elicit, and then do the things. So that's what I mean by hand in glove partnership. Some of the cue cards that I've put, and definitely this presentation will be shared with you, but reach out to the right business stakeholders is one of the input that I would like to give. Network. Don't go by cadre and don't go by the position of the person. Sometimes the junior most person will be in the best shape and position to give you a lot of insights, versus a person who is actually having a 50,000 feet view and who will only give you a very to have different views. So network, read, you're reaching out to the right business stakeholders. Have regular conversations. Ensure that you are validating your understanding before you take the plunge of delivering something. You have to be aligned at that point. Get your seat at the table, make a difference through your solutions. Nobody is going to come and give you a seat on the table. Many a times it so happens that you would all agree to, some of you definitely would agree to the fact that everything has been decided, and then the business comes and tells you that L&D, please roll this out. I think it's time for us to put our foot down. But you will be able to do that only if you have the conviction, only if you have established the credibility, only if you have gone closer to the business to understand what is that you need, and I'm here to help you. That kind of an attitude and partnership is really required. Going on to the next one, how do you actually align the strategy? Okay. Uh, 1 second. Sorry. Okay. Aligning the strategy to business. What does this mean? Business strategy and learning strategy are the two sides of the same coin. How will the business operate? Because of your competent talent. How will the competent talent become competent? Because of the capability development plans that you hold for them, the kind of programs that you offer, and the way you will actually help them to come up to speed. So therefore, business strategy and learning strategy are two sides of the same coin. Have you realized that? If you have realized that, great. If you haven't realized and waiting for information to come and flow to you, I'm sorry to say that you will have to take the lead and get onto that particular level of understanding the business. The key role of L&D as a function today is to develop and shape a learning strategy which is based on organization's business vision and talent strategies. Don't offer what you have in your plethora of offerings. Give them something which is required. And this is no rocket science, right? This is no intelligence. But are we really doing that? And each it's not only about an L&D leader doing that, okay? Your next level people also have to be trained to think in that direction, because you are as much strong as you are strong as much as your team is strong. Every single team member has to be trained to be a strategic partner. You cannot think about you are at a particular L&D head position and therefore if you know everybody, are you actually delivering that message to your teams, because they are going to front end a lot of stuff on the ground. Amalgamation of learning initiatives and business imperatives is key to the success. Shift gears, take charge. You have to be a strategic enabler and definitely not a support function anymore. We don't like, nobody, none of us on this particular group will will like anybody to call us as an administrative or a support function, or a a function which you go to them whenever they need. No, we are part and parcel of the business, and you have to create a space for yourself. I'm reinforcing on this particular point. This is from my experience. If you don't go and talk, if you are not inquisitive enough, if you are not curious enough as to where the business is moving, you definitely will not. You are far away from the business. Let's understand that very clearly. Be a solutioning partner by driving learning initiatives. Okay. And when I talk about this, driving learning, when I say solutioning partner, it doesn't mean that business is doing something. You see, and you just by saying that, hey, you're asking me to deliver a program for this, or you feel that a learning program will help you doing this, but I don't think so. I think we will have to shift our gears and do things differently. Maybe we have to actually challenge the entire set of people who are present in that particular bucket and see what differently they can be doing. Let's assess them first before actually putting them onto any particular plan or roadmap. There is a lot that you can do as solutioning partner. It's not that business tells and you listens. You will never establish your credibility in that way. Of course business tells and you listens, but you have to have that conviction that I understand why this is done, and I think I can offer the best of the solution that I have. Innovate and evolve through disruptive thinking, very important. Think differently. I am doing this in a very, very, systematic order, in a very structured form. This is the way I have been doing it for multiple years, and I'll continue to do that. It's not going to take you anywhere. Many a times, disruptive thinking are challenging, difficult. You have to get into uncharted areas, but there would be a lot of solution. You may fail. You may fail also. I have failed a couple of times, but then you get to learn a lot from that particular failures, and then you actually shift gears and come back and align yourself and say, okay, this did not work, but I think this will. And this this is something which is a journey. Disruptive thinking is very, very essential for a learning and development professional. Provide competitive edge to the business by future proofing the talent. Do you know what's happening in the industry? Do you know what's happening in your respective? If I'm into the payments industry, do I know what are my competitors doing? Where is the world moving towards? What kind of new technologies are coming into picture? What are the emerging technologies like 5G and how they are going to actually impact my business? The learning, the understanding, the conversations around that, the reading around that is very, very important. Only then you can actually future proof your talent. If you have to be proactive, you have to be well read, well connected, well networked. Enable insight based decision making. Another point which I generally talk in most of my sessions is about meaningful updates and dashboard to the business. Don't go and tell them how many number of hours of training or how many 50,000 programs that you have done. Does it actually add any value to the business? I don't think so. What will add value to the business? Again, go back to the question. What was the strategy that business wanted? What is the goal? What is the capability development charge that I have taken into consideration? And align your updates and dashboards which are aligning to that. So, for example, in the example that I cited recently, the updates and the dashboards that went to the executive committee or the executive business stakeholders was about this will the number of people in this group who were trained at this level, and they are actually functionally operating on this module of the project that we had. Okay. And it was a government bid. It was a very, very large bid for the organization. And then there is next set of people who definitely are not into the programming things, but they are more into statistical things. Therefore, this is the program that we offered. These are the people who are doing. We go back and take measuring effectiveness is already a part and parcel of that journey. We have gone back to the leaders and understood they are being trained. Have you put them on job? If they have not been put on the job, what do you plan to do with them? It is a complete loop that you have to complete. It's not about you told me, I did it. You said that advanced analytics was required. I gave you the program. Now you look into it. No, end to end journey is strategic partnership. Hand in glove partnership is you start something, you end, and there is a result that is shown. Sometimes there may be failures. So you have to be upfront and advise your business that this is not working. We might have to change the course of action. We had to do as a part of that journey as well. Embrace technology to revolutionize learning in the organization. Very important. So that your hands will be free, your mind will be free. A lot of things you can actually leverage through the technology today, especially given the kind of current circumstances that we all are into. The digital technology, the digital way of learning is the way move forward. Even when the organization come to normal things, the research very clearly states that it is important for us to understand that whatever worked in this pandemic situation probably is the best and the right most way of doing things. And let's leverage that. So technology is something which you'll have to embrace, but don't go and embrace technology just because 10 other organizations are doing it. Does your organization have the appetite to learn that? Does your organization has enough information to do that? Are they prepared to take that kind of technology advancement? All of this is something which you have to do as a learning and development consultant. So the cue card over here is get to know what is a priority for the business. Align your capability development initiatives aligning to the priorities. Drive it top down and across. Very important. Okay. And help the business with meaningful insights. Give dashboards which will make sense. Give dashboards to them. Okay, competency has to be developed over here, but people are not actually leveraging. Today, most of the L&D functions have LMS. Very, very well established LMS. Does our job get over by just installing one LMS? Definitely not. How is that, absorbed? What kind of learning is happening? Whether that learning is valuable enough or not? Whether that is adding value to the business or not are multiple questions that you have to ask yourself, and therefore drive meaningful insights. So some of the strategic roles that the learning and development team actually can hold is attract and retain talent. Now you might think how is because the some of the research that I read currently, if I'm not wrong, it was from Josh Pershing, which clearly stated that 68% of the talent today, when they look for opportunities or job change, they look at opportunities where they will get to learn. Do I have a learning? Do I have enough plan get to will I actually get to learn what I want? How will I progress? How will be my career landscape? How will I move forward? All these are the questions. The more your organization is a learning organization, the more your organization has a learning culture, you will be able to attract and retain talent. Many people don't leave the organization because of the opportunities to learn that they get. And of course, along with that, you have to tie up very strongly with the business that I am getting them ready, equipped, but you also need to give them opportunities. Otherwise, you train in house, but you're feeding that as a ready talent to your competitor. Develop people capabilities, and that people capabilities always have to be holistic. Look at the roles. Therefore, I go back again to my point. Understand whether there is a skill matrix that you have. What is the kind of talent landscape? What kind of roles are they performing? And when they're performing this kind of roles, what kind of people capabilities and kind of programs have to be offered? Motivate and captivate the employees. How do you engage the participant? There is Gen Y, Gen Z entering into the organization. You can't have your rudimentary style of classroom trainings. And given the situation today, definitely not. So, how do you actually not overdo technology advancement, but at the same time ensure that you're captivating your audience, you're making people to learn, they are interested, and you don't have to push them, but you are actually pulling them because of the ecosystem that you build. Build continuous learning culture. Embrace the culture of learning, give that time offs wherever required, give the best of the. It's not over, it should not be overwhelming, but it has to be very succinct, very crisp, very organized, where a person will feel like, okay, I want to pick up this as a learning path. I know that the learning systems in my organization gives me that opportunity. I'll have a career roadmap. I can take certification. I can take assessments. I can move forward from one position to other. And that's what I mean by building continuous learning culture. Building organizational brand. The more you have a very, very systematic organized, of course, organization brand. I'm not saying that alone can be built only by learning and development. It is a cohesive force that has to work. The HR practices, the culture of the organization, the leadership, gamut of things that happen, the learning opportunities. Let's pick up our pattern of learning opportunities, how good our systems are, how well we take care of our people, how what kind of uniform seamless opportunities we are giving. All of that is very important. And that will help us to leverage competitive advantage. Because remember, there are only a couple of things which are uh, which is which the competitors cannot snatch away from you, and those are extremely good leadership, breed of people that we hold in the organization, the culture of the organization, and the most important thing is the competent talent. The skills of our organization is something which is at the highest priority when it comes to competition. That is something which people cannot duplicate what you do as a practice. Of course they can poach your people when they are trained, but then if you don't train also they become obsolete, right? So this is the strategic role that we are expected to play. The key components for the success is understand the business strategy. Seamless synchronization of L&D and business needs is very important. You definitely need to have a hold of a strong assessment of what is this talent skill gap, because the talent keeps on it should not become obsolete, the skill should not become obsolete, and therefore you need to know what is that my business is going to do in the year 2021, what kind of skills and development are required, and then you go back again to your skill metrics, look at it where they are, who can be cross skilled, who can be upskilled, who can be removed from one particular uh, pillar and put onto something else. Is there any other kind of cross training that can happen which will so for example, in our organization we need more and more of cybersecurity professionals. There are many developers who do not know how to jump into cybersecurity. They are interested, but they do not know. That becomes the learning and development's role to campaign, make them understand, realize the importance, see which is the right fit and right candidate for the cybersecurity people, and then go bring them over there. Learning roadmaps and career paths, which have to be tied at the roadmaps have to be tied to the career paths. You can't expect a person to keep learning without actually giving him a broader vision of what his career will look like and what are the opportunities that he or she has. Robust learning ecosystem to scale effectively is very important. Embrace technology. Seamless learning opportunities to upskill, very important. And when you establish all of this slowly and steadily, it is your core responsibility as L&D as a function to ensure that we institutionalize the learning culture. What is institutionalizing? Repeating the same good things again and again in different sections, taking a cross-sectional view, understanding the season of the organization, understanding the need, and providing similar kind of top-class learning opportunities. And this has to be a combination of maybe gamification, maybe hackathon kind of events, maybe leadership labs, or sales skill labs, etc. There is a combination of things that each one of us do. How do we actually bring all of those things together and do a holistic development of our people is very important. That will help you to be successful in aligning to the business needs, because ultimately your role is to have competent talent. A couple of slides more. You have to take the ownership of positioning the organization for success through a holistic talent development strategy. Not only technology, not only domain, not only sales, but leadership behavior. How do you actually morph all of these things together, integrate all of these things together and give that as a package to the person, and that comes as a part of your roadmap and the career path. Shift gears from skill and competency development to mindset change. What is in it for you when you come to the learning platforms or to the learning sessions is something which you have to propagate. Time is gone. People are very, very smart enough to go and actually, take a look at different kind of systems that are available and explore thousands of videos available on YouTubes and Googles of the world. So you focus your attention more on the mindset change of the learners. And therefore, you have to think disruptively. You have to think differently. Transform learning methodology, map it to the diverse workforce, and ensure the job descriptions are very, very crystal clear so that they know how to move forward. Digital thinking and learning is something which you definitely need to advocate because that's the way we move forward. Channelize your energies on giving a learning experience to the learners. Our work and job is not done just by putting an LMS and then deriving out or extracting, you know, uh, sheets and data and then presenting it to business. No, our work is to see what kind of courses are obsolete, what kind of courses is something which people are not going and attending. Are they actually having their focus over there? How do we make sure that the digital ecosystem is completely utilized by the learners? So from being content providers to content curators and driving focused learning. So that is how our entire journey is evolving, right? So do not wait for instructions. The cue card over here for you is sense the pulse and proactively drive the learning culture. Focus on how learners can be captivated rightly. Okay. There could be multiple things that you could do. Recognize the learning patterns. Make the leaders to learn. Walk the talk comes from there. And when you see a leader actually doing a lot of learning, the same, the learning becomes the DNA of the organization. And that's where we have to focus our attention. Drive learning initiatives which are aligned to the business goals. Measure the impact and effect. Anything that is not measured cannot be improved. Okay. So look at the possibilities, introspect very closely. It's important for us to know what we are doing and what is the value. Every single thing that you offer as a program should bring value to the business. And you need to have that conviction of showcasing that this is the impact that we have brought. Also be very bold enough to say that this is something which we tried, did not work. I think we'll have to shift gears. We'll have to do course corrections. Very important about, it's very important for you to be very vociferous about the support and sponsorship that you require from the business. While you tie up with them, it is a two-way kind of a strategy. You talk to them and you give a lot of inputs, handshake with them, align with them. They also need to give you similar kind of inputs, right? So the cue card for you guys over here that I think from my experiences, elicit the vision, understand the priorities, and plan aligning learning initiatives. Have a defined metrics in consultancy with the business would say, you delivered this, I was expecting this, X was the expectation, and you have given me Y. No, even before you take the plunge of starting a program and measuring the impact, be completely aligned with the business. This is X and this is X for me, and this is X for you, and this is what we are going to achieve. We will ensure that 60% of your population is actually moved from level A to level B, or maybe they will be doing different kind of things, or we are envisaging that new projects will be coming and these people will be deployed on that. So elicit the vision, be very innovative, ensure that you are always consulting the business and aligning with them. Give your suggestions, give your inputs as well. Tell them what will work and what will not work. Of course, ground reality is that you need to have established that kind of credibility for the business to listen to you. So to summarize, and I think I would like to give the last 10 minutes for questions, but quickly challenge yourself as a strategic function. Very important. Get uncomfortable. Reinvent the purpose of the function that you belong to. Get uncomfortable. If you're great content curators, move your thing and see how your content is being utilized. If you're already delivering certain sessions as facilitator, think about what is the kind of combination that you can bring in. If you are different departments, like a technology learning department is separate, and a leadership a kind of department, learning department is separate, or a behavioral, try to have that kind of lives on. The business finds it very easy. Many a times you have this challenge, measuring impact of behavioral programs or leadership programs. While technical programs it's slightly easier. I wouldn't say that it is 100% easier, but it's slightly easier to measure the inputs that would come from the business, right? From the technology trainings. But if you actually partner, so I'll give you a very classic example of this. Storytelling is a human skill. It's a behavioral skill. You learn how to do storytell those kind of things. And then there may be a different department in your organization which takes care of human skills, or probably the leadership skills or the behavioral skills. But your business, you have seen that there is a very specific requirement. The storytelling has to happen on technology. So let's say that your technical folks are supposed to actually architect certain things and sell that to your customer or explain that to your customer. Or let's say that your technical leadership team have to go out and speak to the external world and then story tell the digital things, or the technology. How is the 5G technology going to use? Why do we actually do a different kind of stuff? If you have to sell this, or when you're speaking this to a customer who may be novice in that technology area, but you still have to sell your solutioning to them. People fail. People fail because they are great technical experts, but they can't storytell anything. And that's where the question comes, right? Like, can you actually handshake with your other department and say that storytelling is a skill? Let them go through that entire process. But the last part of it definitely has to focus on how will I tell story revolving around an architecture or a technology piece, right? And that's how you kind of integrate these learnings. And that's where I say that do that cross sectional view, integrate and partner, so that you will be able to do that much better. Bring in discipline for learning. There has to be a lot of carrot that you have to give to people so that they understand that, okay, this is what's in it for me is very important. Structure to the programs that you offer is very important. Meaningful possibilities of learning is very important. You yourself will have to learn and unlearn a lot of stuff as we move forward. Equip yourself with strong business acumen. I've been telling this continuously throughout this entire session. Develop your own research capability. Be well read, be abreast of things happening in your space, and take that exponentially. Very, very important. Okay. And this is my last slide. L&D programs must be clearly linked to tangible increases in performance. You will be asked a question. What did you get by doing all this set of programs? You definitely need to show that. And there are some areas where it will be difficult, but there are many areas which you can do. You have to think through, and that's where you have to sit again in partnership. We are doing this program. What is the expectation? What should be the outcome? What should the journey look like? This has to be a very clear conversation that we have. Stakeholder analysis and mapping is very crucial. What do I mean by this? If you really want a learning champion for yourself, a business to sponsor some of your initiatives, it is important for you to know who are those pro champions from the business whom you can actually catch hold of and then spread the word of mouth. So, stakeholder analysis and mapping. If you're going to a very tough internal customer or a BU leader or a business leader for that matter, and you know that he needs certain things, you have to offer him something. How do you map that? If you don't do the transaction analysis of your leaders, it's very difficult for you to actually strike a chord with them. The cornerstone of any strong partnership with the business definitely remains the trust. You have to continuously keep showcasing your ability of partnership through valuable offerings, talking to them, and doing more of it. Lead organizations in closing gaps and upskilling, because that is the expectation. So, alignment over here purely means be very specific, understand your business, keep having that kind of handshaking and network. I think I have given whatever I wanted to share from whatever I have been doing. There are many other kind of examples that comes to my mind, but we are short of time. But I would definitely like to see if there are any questions.